In this video, I'm going to cover some filter recipes that will be helpful for your own productions. I'll start by sharing some free and inexpensive ways that you can create looks, and then move into some specific filter recipes. Just remember that as I go through each section, you can be combining them together to make for an even stronger effect. My first suggestion is that you consider the time of day and the weather that you shoot in. If you shoot in the early morning or just after sunset, your colors are going to be more muted and pastel. If you shoot during the middle of the day, your colors are going to be more saturated. The same goes for weather. An overcast day is going to look more muted and pastel than a sunny day where everything will be brightly saturated. My second suggestion is that you take a look at playing around with your camera profiles. A lot of the mid-range and higher-end cameras will allow you to really manipulate and change how it sees and records light. Oftentimes you can make your image less saturated or change how a specific color looks altogether by really tweaking some of the menu settings. And by changing it in camera, it is another way that you can take a bit of the edge off of your footage or really emphasize the edge if you want. When you play with your camera profiles, I also highly recommend that you have some kind of color chart in the frame. That way you can have an accurate reference for what you're doing to your image. And this is also where working with a RAW camera can really come in handy. Usually when we think of white balance, we think of using white balance to tell the camera how to correctly render the color temperature of light. But we can also use this to create specific looks by fooling it. For example, you could use your white balance and white balance to a slightly blue piece of paper to warm up your image. Or you could white balance to a slightly yellow piece of paper to cool down your image. Or you could white balance to an odd color to really throw off your camera's white balance to create a unique look. The great thing about this trick is that it's very affordable. Most of the time, optical flats are used to protect the lens from debris that's flying around, but they're also great for creating custom filters. For example, you can smear Vaseline around it to create odd image blurs on a specific part of your image, or you could use a China marker to draw lines across it to create streaks in your image. Or